Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
She guided me with a gentle smile, saying, "Don't worry, I'll show you the way," as she took my hand and led me to her bed. Her eyes sparkled with warmth and desire as she whispered, "Hold me." Following her invitation, I gently laid her down, our bodies coming together as passion coursed through my veins. I'm Jack, a 21-year-old studying at a private university in New York. My roots lie in a peaceful rural town where I spent my childhood exploring the wilderness. The transition to city life has been challenging. The constant bustle and glamour of New York feels foreign to my introverted nature. I find solace in solitude, preferring the quiet comfort of my room to the chaos outside. My shyness manifests itself daily in class, where I hide in the back row and struggle to speak when called upon, often drawing snickers from my classmates. But beneath this timid exterior lies a secret I've never shared: my growing fascination with the girl next door. Her apartment is right next to mine in a small red brick building, our windows perfectly aligned. She seems carefree about privacy, often leaving her blinds open, giving me glimpses into her daily life. I've learned her routine: the click-clack of heels during her morning departure, the soft glow of her returning presence around 7 p.m. She appears to be a young professional, living independently in the city. In quiet moments, I observe her reading, writing, or enjoying dinner while listening to music. Sometimes I imagine approaching her with poetic words like, "Hello, isn't the moon beautiful tonight?" But my crippling shyness keeps these thoughts as mere fantasies, leaving me to admire her from afar. Each evening, I find myself anxiously awaiting her return, my heart leaping at the first sign of light in her window. I cherish these stolen moments, watching her smile or go about her evening routine. As she changes clothes, I simultaneously feel guilty and irresistibly drawn to her. During these intimate moments, I press myself against the window, hardly daring to breathe. The sight of her undressing sends waves of emotion through me, her delicate movements revealing soft skin beneath city clothes. Time seems to stop as I watch her graceful form emerge. Her shoulders catch the moonlight, creating a mesmerizing silhouette. The gentle curves of her collarbone and chest appear like an artist's masterpiece, her skin glowing ethereally in the night. My breath catches as she removes her bra, revealing the full beauty of her form. The perfect curves of her breasts, their natural sway and fullness, leave me transfixed. I bite my lip, trying to contain the surge of desire that courses through me. As she continues undressing, my hands grow damp with nervous energy. The revelation of her long legs, the curve of her hips, and the intimate details of her body create an overwhelming urge to reach out. But I remain frozen behind my window, a silent observer. Each time she dresses again, I'm flooded with conflicting emotions: desire warring with shame, attraction battling guilt. Though I recognize the impropriety of my actions, I find myself powerless to look away from her enchanting form. These moments end with deep sighs and reluctant retreats from my window. Lost in this forbidden ritual, I continued watching, knowing the consequences would be severe if discovered. Then one evening, everything changed. Mid-change, she suddenly turned toward my window. Our eyes met, and in one swift motion, she yanked down the blinds. My heart stopped. My careful invisibility shattered in an instant, my secret exposed. Panic seized me as I stood trembling in the darkness. What have I done? The sound of the blinds crashing down felt like a harsh judgment. I couldn't read her expression. Was it anger? Shock? The weight of shame and remorse crashed over me as I realized the gravity of my actions. The next morning, with my heart heavy with guilt, I ran into her outside our building. Just my luck, I thought, as she was heading to the subway station for work. When our eyes met, she paused, and I found myself frozen in place, unable to speak. "So, you're the one who's been watching me," she said, breaking the tension. Her voice caught me off guard, melodious and gentle, with a warmth I hadn't expected. Yes, I'm truly sorry, I managed to whisper, my voice quivering with shame as I stared at the ground. After a thoughtful pause, she surprised me with her response. You know, I'm not angry. Would you like to come over tonight? Her unexpected invitation left me both relieved and anxious. I couldn't fathom why she wasn't furious with me. Yes, I'll come. And again, I'm so sorry, I stammered, bowing slightly. That day was a blur. I sat through my lectures in a daze, the professor's words fading into white noise as my mind raced with possibilities about the evening ahead. The formulas on the board seemed to dance before my eyes, meaningless symbols lost in my anxiety. Minutes felt like hours as I sat alone on campus, watching shadows lengthen across the quad. When I finally left, each step was heavy with anticipation. As darkness fell, I noticed her light switch on. My heart leaped when I heard her window open, followed by her gentle call, "Hey, come over." Standing at her door, my heart pounding wildly, I took a deep breath before pressing the doorbell. She welcomed me with an ease that only heightened my nervousness. I, I began, ready to apologize again, but she cut me off. Did watching me excite you? She asked directly. My face burned hot, and I fumbled for words. With no dating experience and barely any interactions with women, I was lost. After an internal struggle, I decided honesty was my only option. Yes, I'm sorry, I admitted softly. Would you like to do more than watch? She asked, her voice taking on a sultry tone. What? I stammered, my heart thundering at her bold suggestion. Would you like to make love? Is this your first time? Yes, I whispered, my face aflame. She smiled tenderly. Don't worry, I'll guide you, she said, taking my hand and leading me to her bed. Kiss me, she breathed, her eyes shimmering with desire. I leaned in, letting instinct guide me. When our lips met, a shiver of pleasure ran through my entire body. She tasted of sweet cherries, and as our kiss deepened, the world seemed to fade away. Her fingers traced patterns in my hair while I held her close, our breaths mingling. The kiss intensified, and heat bloomed between us, my heart racing faster with each passing moment. With gentle hands, she began unbuttoning my shirt. Each touch sent tingles across my skin, my pulse quickening like a summer storm. As my shirt fell away, she explored my bare chest with tender caresses that left my skin burning with desire. My hands trembled as I worked at her blouse buttons. She steadied them with her own, helping me undress her. When I saw her beauty unveiled, I had to catch my breath. Any guilt I felt at my previous voyeurism melted away under her warm, encouraging smile. As she removed her bra, time seemed to stop. Her perfect form in the soft light left me spellbound. Touch me, she whispered, guiding my hand to her breast, and I felt myself shiver with desire. Like a patient teacher, she showed me how to please her, guiding my movements with gentle instruction. Sometimes with words, sometimes with soft sounds of pleasure, she taught me the language of love. Under her guidance, I grew more confident, our movements becoming a natural dance. The sensation of her bare skin against mine was intoxicating. Her body was silk beneath my fingers, her scent an intoxicating perfume that made my head spin. Every touch, every caress was a new discovery that left me breathless. We moved together in perfect harmony, our bodies finding their own rhythm. Her soft moans filled the room like music, the sweetest symphony I'd ever heard. The world beyond her bedroom ceased to exist. There was only us, lost in our private universe of pleasure. Despite my inexperience, Sarah's expert guidance made everything feel natural. She led our dance with the grace of a choreographer, showing me exactly how to move, where to touch. When our bodies joined, it felt like two pieces of a puzzle finally coming together. Her voice, sweet and passionate, drove me wild with desire. That night, I experienced ecstasy unlike anything I'd imagined. Each climax was like discovering a new dimension of pleasure, each moment more intense than the last. This night with Sarah became an indelible memory, a perfect moment of connection that I knew I'd never forget. I approached her apartment that evening with trepidation, expecting a harsh rebuke. Instead, what transpired was beyond anything I could have imagined. The memory still lingers, like a beautiful dream, surreal yet vivid in my mind. In the intimate aftermath of our encounter, she introduced herself as Sarah, her voice soft and warm beneath the covers. She shared that she worked at a real estate company just 2 blocks away, a steady job that gave her the independence she cherished. When I questioned her about leaving her curtains open, Sarah's response was playfully candid. "It's just too much hassle," she laughed. My concerned comment about safety for a woman living alone earned me a teasing reply. "You're right, perverts like you might be watching." With disarming honesty, she confessed that our encounter wasn't entirely spontaneous. After a year of solitude following her breakup, she'd seen me as a suitable man, a term that stung slightly, though I tried not to dwell on it. My first intimate experience had unfolded in a way I never could have predicted. Sarah's invitation to come anytime led me back that very evening, but as the hours ticked by 7 p.m., then 7:55 p.m., and finally 9:12 p.m., her apartment remained dark. Worry began to creep in. I knew her schedule well enough to know she was rarely out this late, maybe once or twice a year at most. With no way to contact her, I could only wait anxiously. I finally decided to check on her apartment. As I approached, I heard raised voices, Sarah's trembling with emotion, mixed with the harsh tones of an unknown man. I stayed back, listening to their heated exchange. "I have nothing to do with you anymore." Sarah's voice cracked with emotion. The man's response came cold and calculated. "Fine. Then you'll have the $200 to $300 by next month, right?" Their exchange revealed something more troubling than just money problems. The way Sarah's voice shook suggested this wasn't their first confrontation. Though I suspected he was her ex-boyfriend, I knew intervening wouldn't help. The man's parting words dripped with spite. "Fine. There are other women who will lend me money if not you." As his footsteps approached, I quickly moved toward the stairs, feigning the casual air of a resident returning home. He barely glanced at me before disappearing down the stairwell. Once he was gone, I approached Sarah's door with gentle hesitation. "Sarah?" I called softly, and after a moment, the door slowly opened. I approached Sarah's door with hesitation, my heart pounding. "Sarah?" I called softly through the door. After a moment that felt like eternity, she opened it slowly. "Jake." Her voice was heavy with exhaustion. "I just got back and I'm not feeling my best. Would you mind coming back another time?" Gathering my courage, I asked the question that had been burning in my mind. "That man from earlier, who was he?" She let out a soft sigh, a bitter smile crossing her face. "An ex-boyfriend. He's been struggling financially and came asking for money again." My heart ached as I looked at her. This wasn't the playful, confident Sarah I'd come to know. Before me stood a woman weighed down by her past. Yet her vulnerability only made her more beautiful, showing a different side of her strength. "He mentioned finding money elsewhere," I said softly, trying to reassure her. "I don't think he'll trouble you anymore." In that moment, everything became crystal clear. This woman had brought color to my gray existence in New York, transforming my lonely world into something vibrant and alive. For 3 years, I'd been a stranger in this vast city, but she had changed everything. "May I come in?" I asked gently. She hesitated briefly before nodding. As soon as I crossed the threshold, I drew her into a kiss. The warmth of her lips sent electricity coursing through my body. This kiss was different from our first night, deeper, more intense, filled with genuine emotion. Time seemed to stand still as we lost ourselves in the moment. "I like you," I confessed, the words spilling out uncontrollably. Her eyes widened in surprise, then softened as a gentle smile graced her lips. She leaned into my chest, her warmth seeping through my clothes and into my soul. As her fingers played through my hair, I felt myself melting into her touch. We found our way to her bed, sharing an intimate moment of deep connection. That night marked the official beginning of our relationship. As our hearts grew closer, I discovered that New York wasn't the cold, alienating place I'd once thought it to be. With Sarah by my side, the city transformed. Together, we explored hidden cafes, shared lazy afternoons in the park, and found joy in life's simple pleasures. The urban landscape that had once felt so foreign now felt like home. I was no longer alone, and with Sarah, I knew I could face whatever challenges lay ahead. Her love had given me not just companionship, but the strength to truly belong in this city I'd once feared.